This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. I'm a knitting teacher, and this is my brand new Tru-Knit Circular Sock Machine. I'm very happy with mine, and I just posted a very positive review. I recommend it as a reliable, smooth, quiet, feature-laden, and quality-built CSM. Many CSM knitters start after hand knitting socks, or perhaps were not a knitter at all, and they may not have anyone nearby to teach them the machine. There are a lot of online resources, and I've linked some of my favorites in the description box below. I'm also filming a few quick start lessons for newbies. If you aren't sure how to start, or the machine is frustratingly unfamiliar to you, these lessons are for you. I hope to give you a great start and some early confidence using your CSM. This is the second lesson, and this one is about knitting a hem, which you're going to need to know to make a basic sock. Let's start knitting that hem. I have just threaded in the sock yarn, which I showed in lesson 1, and I'm going to knit 20 rounds for the hem. 10 rounds will be the inside of the hem, then 10 rounds will be for the outside of the hem, 20 all together. So here I go. Now I'm going to wait until the 19 is in the window, and then on my 20th round I'm going to stop early. I'm going to stop here at position C. The back of the machine is A, the mark on the left is B, center front is C, and over here's D. So I'm going to come around to position C. And now I'm going to pick up my hem. I just took the weights off the buckle and I'm setting them aside. The buckle will probably fall down, so I took the buckle off too and I'm setting it aside. Now there's no weight on the knitting, which is all right because I'm not knitting just this moment. Now I'm going to pull the knitting up in the middle and find the first stitch in the circle. Now the stitches that I'm going to pick up are in between these red waste yarn loops. This is going to be my first stitch to pick up. You see how there's a little jog in the waste yarn from the beginning of the knitting. It goes around and then the end is going to be behind the beginning. So this is my first stitch in the circle, and I fold this and I lay that on needle number 1. And then it's kind of nice to fold this so you can see all these guys, and the ones to pick up are the ones that are in between the red yarn. Don't pick up the red yarn, that's the wrong stuff. You've got to pick up the sock yarn. This waste yarn that's red, I'm just going to throw away. I try not to split the yarn. I try to get my tool on all of the yarn that's sock yarn in that loop and none of the red yarn. And I just pick them up one by one and lay them over a needle. The hook should be open on the needles, but before we keep going, we're going to check for that. You're going to develop a habit of running your finger along these to feel they're open. So I'll just keep on picking these up until I get over here, and then I'm going to discover that since the needles are down, I can't really pick them up. Now I've changed my focus a little bit before I keep going because I want you to see that I can also pick up these stitches because these needles are up and the needles were sticking up. They're in a position where I can put loops on them, and I'm just going to do that. I don't miss any needles. Every needle all the way around the circle gets a loop. Let me see, I want to get that loop. Got him. And onto the needle, and I want the sock yarn but not any of the red yarn. So if it splits, I get to poke at it again. But after a while, this gets a lot easier. You just kind of have a routine for it. So I'm going to pick up all the loops I can and then be right back. I have picked up the needles I can, and I need to knit over so that these needles will pop up and I can fold the hem over here. We call this closing a hem. So what I'm going to do is apply weight with the grab method. I'm going to go down there, grab the bonnet and yank downward, and then I'm going to knit over. How far? Well, until these needles are all popped up and I can put loops on them. Now everybody's up and I can put loops on them. And I'm feeling them. Their hooks are open. It's all good. So I'm just going to pick up the rest of these loops onto these needles, and then I can finish closing my hem. We call it closing a hem when we knit around after we've picked up all the loops, because it knits off the bottom and the top loops of the hem together so that now they're folded in together. And if you've been looking through your manual, you've probably noticed that the first sock in your book is a hemmed sock. Usually sock knitters begin by learning to make a hemmed sock. Now all the stitches are put on, so I'm going to rehang my buckle and I'm going to rehang my weights. The 3 weights are still adequate, and I can continue on around and close my sock hem, and I can continue to knit my sock.